Right, welcome back, everybody. So you wanted to get into, kind of the struggles that Beyonce's Cowboy Carter tour is facing, and we found this News Nation video on YouTube that really dives into the topic, and it's pretty interesting too, kind of in comparison with how massively successful Taylor Swift's tour is going right now.
Yeah, it is really fascinating when you think about it. Beyonce is a superstar, so to see her tour kind of struggling is a bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah, I mean, the report even points out that, her Renaissance tour, which really wasn't that long ago, was a huge success. We're talking like over $500 million in revenue.
Yeah, that really makes you wonder, like, what's different this time around? What's the contrast?
Yeah. The News Nation report suggests that, maybe the Cowboy Carter theme itself, even though the album was successful, when it first came out, maybe it wasn't like the best idea to base an entire tour around.
Hmm. I see where they're coming from there. Do you remember when Beyoncé said that the country music world didn't really embrace her whole vision for this album, and how she even had to come out and say that it's a Beyoncé album first and foremost?
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. It's like
Yeah.
she was trying to find that balance,
Yeah.
appeal to maybe a new audience, but then also you don't want to alienate your existing fans, and maybe it just didn't land with everyone the way she'd hoped it would.
Yeah, it's a tough situation for
Oh,
sure. Trying to attract new fans without kind of pushing away the ones you already have. And plus there's another thing to consider too. The report brings up this idea of economic exhaustion among Beyonce's fans, especially after that Renaissance tour. So what do you think? Do you think fans are just tapped out?
I can see that. Think about it. Going to a concert these days, it's not just about the music. It's a whole experience. And that comes with a price tag, right? Travel and, merch and food. And then, of course, you got those increasingly expensive tickets.
Yeah, and that's where the Taylor Swift comparison becomes even more interesting. The report points out, for comparable seats, tickets for Beyonce's tour are hundreds of dollars more.
Hundreds of dollars. Wow, that's a huge difference, especially when you consider the scale of Taylor Swift's tour is just massive. 149 shows across 51 cities. And then you look at Beyonce's, it's significantly smaller, only 30 shows in 8 cities.
Yeah.
Do you think that smaller scale, contributes to kind of the perception of how the tour is going?
Yeah, I think it definitely plays a role.
Yeah.
It generates a different kind of energy and buzz. And yeah, it feels like Taylor Swift has kind of set this new standard for what a hugely successful tour looks like.
Speaking of setting standards, do you remember all those rumors about a Beyoncé residency in Las Vegas at that new futuristic venue, the Sphere?
Oh yeah, the residency that never quite happened. Imagine Beyonce performing all of her greatest hits in that super high-tech environment. Wow.
It would have been incredible.
Yeah.
So, what happened? Why didn't it work out?
Well, it seems like another really big name kind of came into the picture, Harry Styles, and his manager, Irving Azoff.
Of
Have you
course,
heard
yeah.
of him?
Everyone in the music industry knows Azoff. He's like a total powerhouse.
Exactly. And from what I gather, he used his influence to lock down the residency for Harry Styles. And not only that, but he also negotiated deals for a bunch of other artists that he manages to perform there too, like No
Hold
Doubt
on.
and
So
Journey.
Azoff basically took over the Sphere and left no room for Beyonce.
It kind of seems that way, right? It was a real power move, showing just how much influence he has behind the scenes and how those decisions really impact who gets those big
It really is
gigs.
eye-opening. Sometimes it's easy to forget that, the music industry is a business as much as it is about, creating art. But before we go too far down that road, let's take a second and recap everything we've talked about so far.
Yeah, so far we've uncovered some of the reasons why Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter tour is facing some difficulties. We've looked at things like the economic climate, the possibility of the genre just not clicking with everyone, and even the impact of really powerful people like Irving
And it's
Azoff.
fascinating to see how all of these things connect and ultimately shape an artist's career,
Yeah,
even someone as big as Beyoncé.
absolutely. It's a very complicated world. It really makes you
With the
think.
music industry changing so quickly and so much out there, what does it take for a global superstar like Beyoncé to stay on top?
Yeah, that's the big question. And the report actually brought up something else that I thought was really interesting. They said that even Justin Timberlake played to a less than capacity crowd towards the end of one of
Oh,
his
wow, I hadn't
tours.
heard that.
It really makes you think, right? Even these huge stars are not immune to all these shifts that are
So
happening.
is this just kind of like a bump in the road for Beyoncé, or is it a sign of, a larger trend in music?
Well, It's hard to say for sure. I mean, on the one hand, you've got Beyoncé. She's incredibly talented. She's got this huge, dedicated fan base, and she's constantly reinventing herself, as an
That's true,
artist.
yeah. Who knows what kind of amazing creative direction she'll go in next, right?
Exactly. But then again, it's possible that maybe we are seeing like a power shift happening in the
You mean with people
industry.
like Irving Azoff having so much influence?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, his impact is huge. Just think about it. He controls access to these major venues, he shapes tour schedules, and as we saw with the whole Sphere situation, he can pretty much decide who gets those coveted residencies.
And it's